Hey there, coin hunters! Welcome back to Million Dollar Coins, the channel where your loose change could turn into a life-changing fortune. You might think that little dime in your hand is just worth 10 cents, but hold up. Some dimes are so rare, so insanely valuable, they've sold for thousands at auction. Today, we're counting down 10 US dimes that could be hiding in your change jar, coffee can, or even your couch cushions. One of these coins could be worth enough to pay off your car, or maybe even your house. Stick around, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive into the world of dimes that could make you a secret millionaire. Let's kick things off with the 2006 D Roosevelt Dime, minted in Denver. At first glance, it's just another shiny, modern dime. Nothing special, right? Wrong. This coin is a hidden gem that could be worth thousands. Over 1.2 billion of these were minted, but a few slipped through with jaw-dropping errors that turned pocket change into treasure. The big one to look for? The missing clad layer error. This happens when the nickel outer layer doesn't bond properly, leaving one side looking coppery and dull. A 2006 D dime with this error, even with some wear, sold for $3,800 at auction. Then there's the misaligned die strike, where the design is shifted off-center, but the date and mint mark are still clear. One of these in high-grade condition fetched $8,500. And if you find a double die error, where the lettering or design looks doubled under a magnifying glass, you could be looking at $10,000 or more. One pristine 2006 D dime with a double die and full torch, where the torch bands are crisp and separated, sold for $11,500. Check for a D mint mark, Denver. Look at the edge. Normal dimes have a copper core between silver-colored layers. If one side looks coppery or the design seems off, you might have a winner. Grab a magnifying glass and inspect for doubling or misalignment. This dime could be your ticket to a big payday. Next up, the 1996 P Roosevelt Dime, struck in Philadelphia to celebrate 50 years of the Roosevelt Dime series. With over 1.4 billion minted, you'd think it's common, but some errors make this coin a collector's dream. Even scratched-up circulated ones can be worth a fortune. The star here is the double die obverse error, where the date, Liberty, or Roosevelt's profile shows slight doubling. One of these, despite visible scratches, sold for $10,200. Another wild find was a 1996 P dime struck on a foreign coin blank, slightly undersized with uneven edges. It looked beat up but sold for $8,500. Then there are wrong metal errors, where dimes were struck on nickel or penny blanks. These can fetch $6,800 to $18,000, even in rough shape. A broad strike error, no rim, expanded diameter, from 1996 P sold for $5,200. Check for scratches or discoloration. Use a magnifier to spot doubling. If the coin feels off, too light, too heavy, or oddly colored, it could be a rare error worth thousands. Now let's talk about the 1985 P Roosevelt Dime. Minted in Philadelphia, over 586 million were produced. But this coin hides some serious surprises. In fine condition, with some wear and no shine, it might look worthless, but don't toss it yet. A standout error is the off-center strike, where 60% of the design is missing but the date and mint mark are visible. One sold for $9,000. Another gem? A rotated die error, where the reverse is misaligned. This fetched $6,000 in fine condition. The big one, though, is a 1985 P dime struck on a penny blank, coppery, underweight, and odd-looking. It sold for $40,500. Even clipped planchet errors, missing part of the rim, can bring $2,200. Look for the P mint mark, check the weight, should be 2.27 grams, and inspect for misalignments or strange colors. That worn-out dime could be a game-changer. Moving on to the 1985 D Roosevelt Dime, minted in Denver with over 568 million produced. This one's another sleeper hit, especially if it looks faded or worn. The Denver Mint was pumping out coins, and mistakes happened. A 50% off-center strike with a visible date sold for $7,500. A missing clad layer error, where the coin looks bronze or coppery, fetched $5,800, even with scratches. A rare wrong planchet strike on a foreign blank sold for $31,000, despite circulation wear. And a broad strike error, looking like a flattened pancake with no rim, brought $6,000. Look for the D mint mark. Check the edges for missing copper cores or odd textures. If it looks warped or discolored, get it checked. It could be worth thousands. The 1973 Roosevelt Dime, struck in Philadelphia and Denver, is a sneaky one. Over 500 million were minted, but errors make some of these dimes absolute treasures, even if they're scratched or faded. A full brockage strike, where a coin gets stuck in the press and creates a mirrored impression, sold for $11,000, despite looking warped. A 1973 dime on a foreign planchet fetched $13,500, even with surface marks. The real shocker? A dime struck on a penny planchet, reddish and weak in detail, sold for $46,000. Missing clad layer errors can bring $4,800 to $8,500. Odd colors, missing rims, or weights off from 2.27 grams. A dull 1973 dime could be hiding a massive payday. The 1967 Roosevelt dime is next, and this one's a legend from a chaotic time in US coin history. With no mint marks, due to a policy to discourage hoarding, this year's dimes are prime for errors. A wrong planchet error on a penny blank sold for $17,200, looking coppery and worn. Another on a Canadian 5-cent blank fetched $25,500. Clipped planchet errors missing 20% of the rim can bring $2,800 to $8,000. The Holy Grail? A double denomination error, struck first as a penny, then as a dime, sold for $200,000. No mint mark, odd weight, or coppery tones. If it looks strange, it might be your jackpot. Finally, the 1968 Roosevelt Dime, a year that brought back proof coins in San Francisco. The Holy Grail? The 1968 No S proof dime, missing the S mint mark. One sold for $450,000. Even in circulated condition, a penny planchet error fetched $8,500, and an off-center strike brought $2,000. A rumored foreign coin reverse could hit 6 figures if authenticated. No S on a proof coin, coppery tones, or misaligned designs. This dime is a collector's unicorn.